Hi everybody, welcome back to Living Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm Oz.
Hi, Ann.
This is Ann, and behind the thing is Lori or Linda. How you doing? Jack and Linda are still down on Lake Jackson because we're still trying to keep everything done. But the problem is with my apartment, my oven doesn't work. And I looked out and I have one of my oldest and best friends, she doesn't get much older than this, is Ann, who has a working oven in a kick-ass kitchen. So she's going to let us borrow it when we need to do some baking until they fix that stuff and COVID goes away. So today we're going to work on something I've always wanted to try, especially since I watched Sweeney Todd. We're going to do a meat pie, which Ann tells me comes from the Neolithic period. Well, that sounds just dirty to my mind because I'm dumb. So that's the thing. But before we do that, be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the little bell. Like, we're trying to do these every Tuesday and Friday, but because of the COVID, it's kind of hard to make sure to get them on there. But if you ring the little bell, which is one of the fucking corners, it's down there, it's YouTube. Ring that, you'll get notifications every time we upload these. Okay, so you're going to need half a pound of burger and a half a pound of the ground pork. We got it for super cheap, we're only using half of it. You're going to need a quarter cup of the water. And then salt and pepper, that's going to be to your own taste, your kind of stuff. We'll get to the rest of the spices in a second. Your pie crust, you're going to need at least two, one to the bottom, one to the top. Right? You get them in the package, they come in here. You're going to need all this stuff that's on the camera. You're going to need the sage and the cloves and the mustard and the... What the hell is it? It's thyme. Never have enough time. And then we were told we were going to need like a little bit of garlic, so I brought a whole thing. A single medium-sized potato, so I had... kind of a small one, so I brought another one. And then an onion, whatever color onion you want. First off, wash your veg. Not just your spuds, just everything. Wash it. So this is what it looks like, but it's been washed, just in case you didn't know. Now, Ann does all this stuff. Like, she's professional or whatever. Like, I've never done that middle cut that you did right there.
Oh, well, you have to. So all the pieces are the same size and they cook evenly.
That sounds like some communist spuds, man. They're all the same size and stuff. Now, you do the same thing with the onion? Like, you half it and then chop it across the top and then through the middle, or just...
You can chop it through the middle. Depends on if you want a rough chop or if you want smaller pieces.
So we're going to have to just do a cutting video, man. You're going to have to teach us how to chop all the stuff. So the garlic, cut off the little hard ends. That's what you're doing here. And then you cut these up as small as possible, right? Like, you don't want giant chunks of garlic, as much as I like garlic.
Oh, we can use like one
hey,
clove,
wait.
the whole
this
thing.
This is the most overqualified garlic chopper ever. Look at the fancy ring. So, and it's like it's garlic. It's like life, man. It ain't got to be perfect. Just cut it up as best you can and throw it in there. Sometimes it's rough, sometimes it sucks, but it's still garlic, man. Get you a decent pot. Now put in your potatoes. Now here's another thing. I'm cooking over here with these fancy rich people. They got tools I didn't even know existed, right? Like, I'm trying to put these in the pot. She comes out with this bucket thing. Look at this. Look.
You know me using my good knives on to scoop stuff up.
So take this, put enough water in it just to cover it, and then put that and let that come to a boil. All right, you're going to want that to cook down to they're about soft. Usually takes about 8 to 10 minutes. Now get you another skillet and put in your onions and garlic. Now the original recipe asks for no butter or liquids or anything in here, so it started sticking really bad when we started cooking with this. So we changed it and added a little butter. So go ahead and watch through this. I hope you do before you start this. Like a single pat of butter, like right at 1 tablespoon of butter is what it's called. Be sure to stir your spuds while you're doing this. See, there you go. We added the butter. Now it's cooking down. This is when your roommates or neighbors are going to come in like, "What are you cooking, man? It smells good."
Oh yeah.
Now go ahead and add that half of the hamburger and your pork. You're going to go ahead and brown this, right? They usually takes like anywhere between 8 to 12 minutes, depends on your heat of your fire and stuff. Now this is where I add all my spices. That's just my salt and pepper, sage. I'll give you the exact measurements. I'm adding in all my stuff in a second. Used half teaspoon of thyme, half teaspoon of mustard powder, quarter teaspoon of the cloves, and a quarter teaspoon of the sage. Right? So you let it brown, get it all nice and stirred. You cooked all that kind of stuff down now. Once your potatoes are nice and soft, go ahead and pull those off. And Anne's going to take out her aggression.
Mash it. Mash.
Now, if you ain't got one of these masher things, you can use a fork or like a well-padded hammer. Like put a plastic bag over a hammerhead and just kind of mash it around in there. Don't tell your dad you're using his hammer that way, or your mom that you're using a hammer in the kitchen. But it works. I prefer the smasher things. Does it work really well? Now, once this... okay, this is warm. Like, the handle is hot.
Yeah, be careful. That's cast iron.
Get your fake hand.
Get a pot holder.
Yeah. And pull that off of heat and let it sit. Now, the pie crust, you leave them out for a little bit, and they'll be nice and thawed where they won't be frozen, and they'll roll out really easy. Now, Ann, you did all this, man. Like, this is your expertise, apparently. I've watched you do this. I watched you do it live, and it was kind of freaky. Like, I always just kind of put it in there, dumped it over, and took a fork and mashed the edges together.
I may have done it once or twice.
So, once you get your meat separated and cooled off, and your potatoes nice and smashed, go ahead and mix those in. Now, when you start, you need to do your oven, 425. Go ahead and let that preheat before you get in there, before you do all the rest of this. They get all this nice and mixed up. I've never heard of meat pies with potatoes in them, but apparently I wasn't that poor growing up where we had to cut our meat products with potatoes. So this, you just shovel it in here. You don't grease it or anything like that. You just put it in. And that pot is still hot and very warm. So you know that stuff. And you lay it out nice and fancy. So how would just be a giant lump of stuff in here. Now, this is your thing, right? Like this is your, like, oh, I always saw like pictures of them on TV, and I was like, oh, well, I can use this fork, and you cut off the extra. Like, I always just let that part hang. That was the crunchy part that the dogs got to have.
Oh, well, I mean, there are many ways.
So, right, wait, there we go.
2 fingers like this.
So basically, I create a crimp with my fingers pushed together, and you just realign it into the next groove with your thumb, and just go along.
And you do
Keep crimping.
And the next one.
See, I dated a girl like that. She had perfect crimped.
I bet she did.
Yeah,
I bet she
I have the
did.
fingers too. I'm getting the cramp. So you just go around. See, usually I just take a fork and it mashes it together and gives it the thing there.
That also
But it
works.
doesn't look near as uniform. It doesn't look near as cool. And then when you did this, it was sealing the edges, right? Let me spin it around.
Yeah, it's important to seal the edges. If you have real juicy meat, and then you don't want all your gravy to spill out.
Okay. And you have to cut the holes in it or it'll puff up.
It'll
right?
puff up. That's right.
Kind of like me when I drink alcohol. You puff up a little bit. So then you take the rest and mash it together.
Yeah,
So,
the excess I'll create decorations with.
Dick decorations. I heard that. So take it. You get to use a rolling pin. I didn't have a rolling pin. I just use a coffee thing. Now you got cookie cutters, and it's fall, so this is perfect. So you got the leaves and stuff. So, but you can use anything. Like I think I have little skulls and stuff.
Skulls would be great
because the Halloween stuff. And then I really enjoyed that part. They all came off in one sheet. That was really satisfying to watch that. And then. Now you start doing it this way, but then you add water to it. What does the water do?
So the water makes it stick to the pie crust.
Otherwise, it just kind of comes off?
Otherwise, it'll just fall off once you cut into it.
Okay. So that's neat. So I guess it's just whatever kind of decorations you want, if you want decorations, but it gives you that extra. So that's a bonus. I never knew. I'm going to start making dick decorations for my pies, man. This will be fun. Put that last one in the middle. And then this I'd never heard of either. You took aluminum foil and just covered the edges?
Yeah, this keeps the edges from burning in the oven while the rest of it's baking.
Oh, come on. That's what my dad used to say. That was my favorite part, the crunchy part at the end. and it's disgusting. Now, you got a big blue cock here, and it's been at 425, and it's been in there for right at 18 to 24 minutes. Like, you want to be checking it and check the outside of it, right? So it gets that golden brown on it. Man, it's perfect because you've already browned all the meat and stuff on the inside. So all you're cooking now is the pastry. So this was perfect. This was super cheap. I was really excited for it. This was the proper French one to do. There's a lot of people that do stuff differently. Like Ann was saying that there was too much sage.
I thought there was a little bit too much sage. Maybe half the sage and probably been perfect.
But this is perfect. Try this out.
And there you have it, folks. Meat pie that Mrs. Lovett would be proud to not serve in her place. Because it doesn't have pickles in it. But it worked out really well. If you do it differently, you want to correct Ann on how she did her crimping thing without using a fork like rich people do or fancy people or whatever. Put it down in the comments or let us know. Find us on social media or on Facebook, Pinterest, and Patreon at Living Between Paychecks Kitchen there. Or you can also find us on Instagram at Living Between there. And until next time, see you later. You'll come back now. Please. We need views.
Let me get some of this. That's not for the recipe. That's for the cook.